And as always, to end the show, we take a look back and change the outcomes of some of the biggest moments in Rocket League history. Because here, hindsight's actually 50-50. Prior to Season 5, the NRG roster of Garrett G, Jacob, and Fireburner had taken the team about as far as they could go. An early exit at the Season 4 finals in DC would mark the first time that NRG would not win a single series at Worlds in their 3 seasons of attendance. The offseason addition of Justin would reinvigorate the team, boosting NRG to the first undefeated regular season in the history of RLCS. The new trio proved even more deadly upon arrival in London, where they dominated the upper bracket, securing a spot in the grand finals versus Dignitas with ease. A lower bracket run meant Dig would need to win 2 series to complete the bracket reset. Dig did their part in the first, winning 4 games to 1, and with the second series tied 3-3, Dignitas took a late lead in Game 7, and what followed goes down as one of the most iconic moments in RL Esports history. A ridiculous 0-second rally by NRG, capped off by a goal by Justin to send the game to OT. But for NRG, that's it. That's the end of the story. Dignitas would win in OT, slam the door, and they're the champions. But what if instead, NRG actually scores in OT, they complete the comeback, and they are RLCS Season 5 champs?
Well, Sam, the possibilities here are endless. Picking apart the most iconic moment in the history of the esport is no small task. So let's rewind back a little bit to that moment, envision how it went down, and I gotta say, first things first, seeing Fireburner lift that trophy with the classic NRG roster feels too right to me. So natural. And I think that ultimately Fireburner does still retire a few seasons later, a bit more on his terms, and moves into the coaching role for NRG. And in this case, it means we might miss out on some amazing moments, like him subbing in and getting an MVP for Cloud9 and moving into that coach role for them in version 1 later. But ultimately, I don't think NRG is where we need to shift our focus here. Instead, a defeated Dignitas, who isn't the type of roster that likes to settle for second, might start to snowball some changes for the European region. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they stick together for one more season here, following it up. But after a beating from Cloud9 in Season 6, I do believe that we see KDOP still leave to form that super team with KDOP over on Vitality, leaving Violent Panda and Turbopolsa together on Dignitas, where they fail to qualify for Worlds with Yukio. And now here's where things really start to snowball. No longer does NRG have a if you can't beat them, join them type scenario where they're obligated to bring Turbo overseas as a Dignitas roster falls apart. Instead, Dignitas, who is an excellent org that takes care of their players, is trying to foster a good environment for Violent Panda and Turbo to come back into the limelight, to get that redemption arc. But Violent Panda, ultimately the captain of this roster, the leader and the talent scout that he is on this organization, when given the chance to pick up Astral down the line, he does so, and he does it with Yukio, leaving Turbo left in the wind a bit and ultimately becoming one of those players of the likes of a Ronicky or a Tadpole, where an excellent striking and capability on a roster once upon a time, but maybe struggling to find a team that really meshes like they used to in that environment. And KDOP now getting the recognition he deserves with a more recent World Championship record on that Vitality roster, perhaps becomes the face of the old Dignitas dynasty as well, as opposed to that Turbopolsa, who no longer exists as a 3-time or 4-time World Championship in this timeline. So ultimately, this one moment, it changed the landscape of Rocket League esports forever.
Well, I like that. I like where your focus is at, because we don't need to look at NRG too much. I think they kept Fireburner around even with the loss, so of course they're going to keep Fireburner even longer, probably there. Or like you said, he's able to leave and feel pretty good about that on his own terms. So let's look at Dig, yeah. And I'm not going to give Dig the benefit of the doubt like you did. I don't think that they're going to keep that same team after they lose. So they lose in iconic fashion at that point, and they are looking to rebound immediately. They especially are looking to do this because they have got a free agent that's available right then and there. That is one of the biggest free agents to that point and really in the history of the sport. That's Scrubkilla. Scrubkilla is eligible, and that means they pull the trigger right then and there. I do think it's Turbo on the way out. They drop him. They pull Scrubkilla in. I think you're right about some of that for Turbo's side of things. Probably never goes over to NA because of that early move there. And over on the Dig side, they shape what begins to be a real dynasty on EU. Potentially the strongest dynasty we've ever seen, or strongest team we've really ever seen in EU. Because I have them winning in Season 6. So I think Dig bounces back. They have Scrubkilla on that roster. They take down Cloud9 in Season 6. That strips Cloud9 of the championship. I don't think they get one at all at that point. They probably leave Rocket League even sooner or replace Torment. A lot of implications there. But focus on Dig. I think looking into Season 7, this team wants to get even better. They see that Panda was a little bit lacking in the performance despite the win. And they also know that KDOP wants to play with Fairy Peak. So why not establish the roster that got together in Season 7 anyway? Fairy Peak comes in, replaces Panda, and now we have a Dig roster that looks exactly like the Vitality roster that won in Season 7, but they're going to do it under the Dig name. That creates the start of that dynasty. It's back-to-back championships now for them. KDOP has made it to 4 World Championship finals in a row and won 3 of them. And so what does this do? This cements KDOP as the greatest player in Rocket League history to that point, and maybe to this day, making him the only player to get 3. And really the sky is only up there for Dig as they probably continue to make adjustments and improvements and may just get a few more as well as they go on. So I think KDOP is the definite one right here who wins in this scenario, as he is atop the Rocket League world.